When the draft ended yesterday, the work did not for the Vikings front office as they agreed to terms with 15 undrafted free agents. They are offensive lineman Alan Ollie from TCU, defensive tackle Calvin Avery from Illinois, linebacker Abraham Beauplan from Marshall, edge Andre Carter II from Army, offensive lineman Jackie Chen from Pace, cornerback CJ Colden, Oklahoma, linebacker Wilson Huber, Cincinnati, wide receiver Cephas Johnson, Southeastern Louisiana, wide receiver Malik Knowles, Kansas State, linebacker Ivan Pace Jr., Cincinnati, kicker Jack Podlesny, Georgia, tight end Ben Simmons, Baylor, wide receiver Thayer Thomas, NC State, cornerback Najee Thompson, Georgia Southern, and cornerback Jalen Williams, Indiana. They'll be fighting for jobs at the end of the depth chart, respective to their positions, special teams. Unfortunately, many of them will get cut or end up on the practice squad. But I've got 3 players from this list that I believe can make some noise, or shall I say, let me rephrase that. One player that will definitely be a contributor, another that I believe can make the team and get some limited opportunities, and another guy who's a wild card, but just because of his presence alone, we've got a locked-in training camp battle. Let's start with Ivan Pace Jr., the linebacker from Cincinnati. When you look at the linebackers beyond the starters, Brian Asamoah, Jordan Hicks, after that you've got William Kwenku, Troy Dye. The yellow brick road to be an immediate backup is there. Ivan Pace Jr., why he went undrafted. Only thing that makes sense is his size. So he's listed at 5'10", 231 pounds. Short guy, but stocky. Sideline to sideline player. Relentless in his pursuit. An inside linebacker with exceptional pass rushing skills. You watch the tape on this guy and he just stands out. Now, it would take a lot of improvement for him if he were to be considered competing for a starting role, primarily in pass coverage, but I think he would be great in sub packages. So third downs, second and long situations as a blitzer. Ivan Pace Jr. will for sure make the team. Next, I want to talk about Andre Carter II from Army. Not sure what the holdup here is with Zadarius Smith, but after your starters, Daniil Hunter and Marcus Davenport, the immediate backup spots are on lock with Patrick Jones and DJ Wonnum. So if he's going to make the 53-man roster, you're going to have to beat out Luigi Villain. 6'7", 256 pounds, great size. Last year had a so-so season, but the year prior, 2021, 14 and a half sacks, 17 tackles for losses. Like, what? Are you serious right now? That's amazing. He is a very raw player, but the talent is undeniable, specifically with the bend and swims if he's out wide enough. But far too often, what I've noticed is that he plays high, charging his blockers, standing tall. And that might work in college, going up against Air Force or UMass, but at the next level, everybody's an All-American. These tackles know how to use their legs, get low, and generate leverage. You come in standing tall, you're going to get blasted. But he's got a shot to make the 53. And lastly, I want to talk about Jack Podlesny, the kicker from Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves a training camp battle. Greg Joseph didn't necessarily cost the Vikings any wins last year, but an 87% extra point conversion rate, that's unacceptable. That's a layup. Third worst among kickers with at least 25 attempts. That's ridiculous. In comes Podlesny with a career 99% extra point rate, although doesn't necessarily translate to success at the next level. College, you're 20 yards out compared to 33 in the NFL. 82.5% field goal rate, so not a lot to win the job, but if nothing else, this will force Joseph to get his ass in gear. Last year, 11 one-score wins, a lot of angels in the outfield type of plays to make that happen. That's not sustainable. Missing extra points wasn't necessarily a big deal in 2022, but it sure as hell will have more of an impact in 23. I'm glad this is a thing. His job should not be safe. And now that the craziness is over with from draft weekend, let's get back to comments, brought to you by Modest Brewing. They're at 505 North 3rd Street in Minneapolis. 22 selections on tap. They're open 7 days a week, including 2 hours before all Twins home games. First comment is by Jeff Vikings. Randy, what's your take on not selecting an interior offensive lineman or linebacker? I'm going to have to say a B. I sure hope they can find talent of need on the undrafted free agency board. Well, they got Ivan Pace Jr. at linebacker, so that certainly helps. Offensive linemen that go undrafted, I wouldn't expect any type of impact from them. Best case, they're going to be at the end of the bench. I've given up hope in the sense that I will believe that the Vikings will address the offensive line when they actually do it. I'll believe it when I see it. Maybe they're just using this year as a delay at 23. You can't pass up on Jordan Addison. I get it. And you had few amount of picks to work with going into draft weekend. But if you look at the Eagles, man, Howie Roseman is super committed to both the offensive and defensive line. So last year, we lost Javon Hargrave if you're the Eagles, right? What did they do in the first round? We're going to go ahead and draft Jalen Carter. And you know what? For S&Gs, we're also going to draft Nolan Smith, the offensive line. They've always had one of the better offensive lines in the league. The 2017 NFC Championship game against the Vikings, one of the main problems, one of the main reasons why Nick Foles went all the way off against the number one ranked defense is because they had no pass rush in that game. Chris Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the Eagles, they lost that game, but they held his ass in check. That's a first team all pro defensive tackle. They had a chance to win. No pass rush against Jalen Hurts. You have to address the trenches. Once you do that, then we can talk about being a Super Bowl contender. Next comment is by, I'm going to screw this up. Kieser Suze. They say Darren McBride, you mean Dwayne McBride, is a top 30 player. Maybe he is, but I don't think that matters whether Dalvin Cook is on the roster or not. He is going to be an RB3 or RB4, Dwayne McBride. Number one, because he's not a threat catching passes out of the backfield, and he has trouble holding on to the football. He has fumbling issues. We have that right now with Dalvin Cook. So at best, he's a two-down back, but how can we rely on that if you lose the football? Maybe he can work on that at the next level and be better. But we were as hyped up as everyone is about Dwayne McBride right now is exactly how everyone was hyped up about Ty Chandler yesterday. And lastly, Squirrel Murphy says, I agree with Jaron Hall. I've been chirping about him for a few months. The fact they got him so late makes it a no-risk pick. Skull. It's definitely exciting. And my stance is draft a quarterback every single year until you get it right. And for the Vikings front office, that process starts now. Preseason, Jaron Hall, it's going to be lit.